everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From VA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Mr. Brennan, Stefanik, your host, and I'm bringing you those general programming reminders. Folks, every Monday we are here with our main episodes, and every Friday we are here with our mini-series In the Spotlight, but that's enough about that. That's not why we're here today. Folks, today I am joined by the one and only Mr. Rocky Paterra. Rocky, what's going on?
Hi, Brennan. It's great to be here in Hell's Kitchen.
Well, what's the address again?
You know, Brennan, in my research for this podcast, I found out that we have something very fun in common.
Oh, my God.
And that is that we both played Vinny in a production of Lucky Step.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That is a deep cut.
Yeah, I went to your website and looked at your resume.
Wow. This is so backwards to how it normally goes, but I appreciate that. Yeah. Great show. Really fun show. Nobody does it. Nobody knows it.
You did it at your alma mater?
I sure did. Thank you. Do you have any other questions for me?
Yeah, I guess. What did you get out of playing the role?
Oh, I got a very fun experience. We did it in a college auditorium, very low budget, but I had a blast.
Yeah. Do you have the footage?
I do have the footage.
Me too. And I was surprised that I got it, but I was I was happy to watch that phone call song back.
Oh, absolutely.
And just see how it actually looked, because it felt a little, chaotic.
Of course. But also, once again, a really good comedy song that nobody knows about. Everyone would
recommend.
Yeah.
What's it called? The phone call.
It's literally called the phone call. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But every girlie out there is just singing Girl Could Use a Dog, not knowing any of the context.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't really make the connection that was from Lucky Stuff until I started digging in after I was cast in it, and I was like, yeah, well, I've heard this song a million times.
There we go.
Why aren't we hearing the phone call more?
Literally. Anywho, Rocky.
Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, Rocky, who the heck are you and what do you do?
My name is Rocky Paterra. I am a comedian and an actor and a musician, and I'm from Pittsburgh, and I've lived in New York for the last 9-10 years.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The second question is usually, how do we know each other? But
well, from a cold DM.
A cold DM.
Kids.
Oh, and that's the way to do it. But I introduced a new segment recently, if you consent to it. It is the Get to Know You Speed Round.
I love that.
I'm going to ask you 10 questions. I need your gut response just right off the cuff.
Okay.
We're going to put 1 minute on the clock. There it is right there on the wall. You see it?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Big timer.
Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Best kind of bagel?
Everything.
Okay.
Cream cheese.
Rank your Starburst flavors from best to worst.
Is this pink, red, orange, yellow?
Correct.
Number 1, pink. Number 2, orange. Number 3, yellow. Number 4, red.
Interesting.
We can talk about that later.
Best brand of water bottle. Reusable water bottle. What are you carrying around with you?
Oh, I don't carry around a water bottle.
Oh my God. I can't judge you for this. You got to keep going. I'm sorry.
Aquafina.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
I don't drink Aquafina.
Moon landing, fake or real?
Oh, I could believe that. That's one of the ones I could believe it's fake.
Okay. Swimming underwater, goggles or no goggles?
No goggles.
Okay. Best way to break up with someone?
Politely.
Okay. Wow, that's so sweet. Best chicken finger establishment?
Ooh. Popeyes?
Okay. Best season?
Fall.
Best seasoning?
Pumpkin pie spice in the fall.
Okay. Best, your go-to excuse for canceling plans?
My dog's got a tummy thing.
Oh my God, that's
sometimes it's real.
That's so valid.
Yeah.
And you have successfully navigated the Get to Know You Speed Round. Thank you so much.
Right in time. The timer just went to 0.
Literally. I know you so well now. I really know the essence of who you are, and I think it's going to make things a lot more natural and easier for the rest of the time here today.
I think so too. I also want to say, I just want to debrief on some of those questions.
Yes,
I don't drink Aquafina really that much at all. And also sometimes my dog does have a tummy thing.
That's so valid.
But sometimes I also will make that up if plans change and I get a little too anxious about hurting someone's feelings.
Yeah.
Because if you bring a dog into the picture...
100%. That's practically like bringing a kid into the picture.
Yeah.
You know?
I would say the stakes are even higher.
100%. People care more about dogs than they do about kids. Let's be honest. You know?
Yeah.
If there's a problem with the kid, get a babysitter. I don't know.
Get a babysitter, but dogs, they can't tell you what's wrong.
No.
So
that's
you can't
so true.
judge it.
Yeah. Wow. Orange Starburst as number 2 is also crazy.
I said pink, orange, yellow, red?
Yeah.
Why? What's yours?
Red, yellow, pink, orange.
Orange is last.
Yeah.
Well, you have Starburst in your bowl.
I do.
At the entrance.
Yes.
And I saw a lot of pink and red in there.
Here's the thing. I always have a candy bowl on my counter at all times.
I love that.
I'm a host. I love to host.
We do too.
I love to provide for my people. I rarely reach into the candy bowl, you know?
Okay.
It also goes so fast that half the time I will look at it and it'll be empty. And I was like, I don't think I had one single thing from that bowl the entire time it was there.
Yeah. So,
and that's so valid,
but you're the one buying the candy for the candy bowl.
I am, yes.
So what's happening to it?
It's okay. You know, once again, I like to provide for my people.
Yeah.
I love to create an environment and a vibe. So
we like to host too. We have a big Halloween party every year where
nice.
My partner like transforms the space, and we spend all month decorating, and like I'm on the food committee, and you know, you can come this year if you want.
Oh my God, I would love to. I love Halloween. That's probably that is something I have aged into, is like acknowledging that that's probably my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
For so long I was a Thanksgiving guy, which
that's so rare.
Kind of wild, but truly just for the food and the nostalgia. You know,
that's such an undersung. We have a friend who also he's like obsessed with Thanksgiving. You just don't see it enough.
Yeah, you know, and like I try to revive it every year, my love for it, and I do enjoy it, but like age happens and it's just not the same anymore. You know, the wonder of waking up and watching the parade is kind of it's nice, but it's not the same.
Do you watch the dog? We watch the dog show.
I don't watch the dog show. We do Thanksgiving lunch, so we're usually in the midst of things by the time that happens. So. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like huge on fall and Halloween, I think is probably up there, but then I love Christmas too.
Yeah.
Something unique about me is I love Christmas.
And that, wow, my God, that is so niche.
Yeah.
But when do you put up the Christmas decorations?
Well, we've kind of stopped decorating our apartment a bunch for Christmas because we spend like 3 weeks down in Texas at my partner's parents' house. So, like, they've got all the decorations up by the time we get there. So, most of our apartment storage is for Halloween decorations.
Understood.
So, we like to leave the space open for that, and we'll just, like, throw a few things up for Christmas.
Heard.
Yeah.
I am very much November 25th or whatever the day after Thanksgiving is for Christmas decorations, because despite what I previously said, I do like to give Thanksgiving its due and have that time that is just fall before it is Christmas, you know?
But then for me, the day after Christmas, it's over for me. There's no more magic.
As soon as I get back here from my home, I usually go home for Christmas. As soon as I get back here, everything is being taken down.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, if there is one single thing in this apartment for Christmas by January 1st, I am losing my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, how am I supposed to start fresh if we're already back in last year?
Exactly. I love the build up, but once it's over, I'm like, you know, I'm done. You know what? I also like haven't auditioned for a Christmas or holiday contract in probably 10 years because I like to do absolutely nothing during December.
I am the same way. Yeah. I refuse.
And that's okay.
It's so fine. If there is anything, like my end date at the very max, I'm like December 20th at the absolute maximum, not ideal at all. Anything past that, no way. I'm like, I want to be home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the only show I would ever want to do is probably a Christmas Carol. That's the only Christmas show I would ever want to do.
Have you done it before?
No.
Okay.
I haven't, but there's a million places that do it like locally enough that still haven't cast me, and that's T-Bo, whatever. But I would be doing it.
What would you be right now, Peter? Or Fred, maybe?
It would probably be Fred
or Young Scrooge.
One of those tracks. I'm also just like, I need a Young Scrooge Christmas future track while I still have these skinny wrists. You know, I'm like, the skeletal thing. I'm like, I can do that really well right now.
Right. It's I'm in my skeletal era right now.
It's an untapped market.
Well, it was one of the first as a kid because I am from Pittsburgh, so I kind of went through the PCLO system.
Oh, okay, great.
And it was like a bloodbath.
Yeah,
getting one of those 5 kid roles in A Christmas Carol. It was like would see all the kids doing their Harry Potter monologues.
Oh my God.
I did. And my sister and I were both like performers growing up.
Yeah.
And you know, it was very formative because every year it was like all of your little friends were now competition and you knew where all the stage parents were at the auditions and who was keeping their kid in the corner, like wanting to focus.
Yeah.
And then you would go in there and be like, what was the one monologue? has anybody seen a toad?
Oh my
That was my sister's.
God.
Because they would need the accent, and I forget what mine was.
Amazing.
But
that's so funny.
I was too old to start as Tiny Tim, so my first foray was Turkey Boy.
Understood.
Yeah.
I always say I wish I had started theater sooner just so I would have more skill set when I entered the world, but I couldn't have done it that young. I would have been ferocious, and I know it. That would have been the stakes would have been way too high for me, and I know myself well enough to say that.
So when did you start performing then?
My junior year of high school was my first foray into acting in theater. That was when I finally decided to give it a go.
In the school musical?
In the school musical,
Which was?
Aladdin Junior.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my junior year of high school, very small town. The drama club had started a year before, and they were doing Aladdin. And I said, well, you know what? I'm a closeted Disney adult. I can, I'll give it a go.
You knew this in middle school?
Yes, I love a Disney villain. So as, let's see, I was 16 years old.
Or high school,
Yeah. I was 16 years old and I went in and I said, I'm Jafar or bust. I have marching band and a lot of other things going on. I'm going to take time out of my schedule. It's got to be for that and only that. And then they cast me as Aladdin. And
Bummer.
I was like, guess I have to do this. Guess I'm probably good at this, maybe. So yes, I was this pasty man in front of you was indeed Aladdin.
And that was your first
Aladdin Jr.
So you stepped into this industry as the titular role.
The titular role, yeah. And you can only imagine what that did for my ego, at least through high school. After high school, ego was completely gone,
Right. But had you been, say, in grade school, been cast as Oliver, that would have set you up for a ferocious
I probably
upbringing.
Would have searched for a performing arts high school and did all that stuff, I would have probably really devoted myself to the craft.
Yeah.
But
I just started performing because my sister did.
Heard.
And we did Joseph in grade school, and she was the narrator, and she was in 4th grade and I was in 3rd. So I was just one of the kids that she would sing to.
Okay.
And I guess I was thinking to myself, why is she the star of this and I'm just sitting there being sung at?
Oh my God.
So then the next year we did do Oliver.
Okay.
And guess who sure was Oliver? Me.
Okay. Thank God. I was about to say, was it your sister?
And she was the Artful Dodger.
Oh, sick.
So we did have a cute little number together.
Okay, great.
And then continued a pattern of us being cast as romantic leads in grade school. Harold,
beautiful.
Hill, and Marion, The King and Anna.
Okay.
And it was a little weird, but I think there was maybe the pool of people wasn't so large.
That's fair.
And we were very entrenched in performing growing up. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's affected me psychologically to have been cast as the romantic lead with her, but I haven't unpacked it yet if it has.
I mean, it's all the rage these days. Did you watch White Lotus season 3?
No, I didn't. But I know what you're talking about.
People loved that stuff.
We just hugged on the footbridge.
Okay, and that's, you know what? You were children. I get it.
And our vocal ranges were exactly the same at that time as well.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Were you taking voice lessons and doing all that stuff?
I took private voice before my voice changed at the CLO. So I started performing, actually I started touring with symphonies.
Crazy.
Well, because Marvin Hamlish at the time was the director of the Pops in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And so he needed a kid to sing Thank Heavens for Little Girls from Gigi in one of his Lerner and Loewe shows.
Understood.
And at that time, I remember my mom pulled me out of school one day and she was like, we're going downtown. And they brought me in and they wanted me to sing that song. And I didn't know who Marvin Hamlish was or anything. I just knew that they were looking for a cute little kid whose voice hadn't changed to sing Thank Heavens for Little Girls. So I was able to do that at Heinz Hall in Pittsburgh. And then he took that show around to various places. Yeah. So I got to tour doing that. And then I did another tour with him, the Barbra Streisand songbook, where my voice still hadn't changed, but I was a little more mature because this time I was singing a duet.
Understood.
You Don't Bring Me Flowers.
Okay.
Still as a prepubescent.
Of course.
And,
yeah.
And so that was my one of my first kind of professional job was singing with symphonies, and I loved it so much.
Incredible.
And then my voice changed, and it wasn't cute anymore, so my job was done.
That's how it goes. One of my survival jobs is I work at the Lion King.
Oh yeah.
So the young Simba, young Nala revolving door it's there.
What is the expiration? Like, how long does one last?
It varies. It definitely varies, but like I just saw they put a poster on the door for a goodbye send-off party for this current round of kids. And I'm like, I feel like they really only started 6 months ago or something. You know, the Simbas have less time than the Nalas
I was gonna say,
do. It's always the Simbas that it's like, oh, yeah, okay, your days are numbered, kid. But
I felt that in real time when I was doing like the Barbra Streisand. I felt my voice starting to change. I couldn't reach those C's anymore, and it was like it would slowly go from like C to B to and I just felt my range shrinking and my life force draining, and it was not a great feeling. And kind of like you said, starting young and being the cute one too. It's like when that kind of goes away a little bit, I think I did maybe kind of feel a little confused. Where I was like, well, why can't I sing anymore? And why aren't I the cute one anymore? That's crazy.
You know what? Everyone has to face adversity in life.
and that was mine.
Yeah.
Everything else has been perfect.
You did it at such a young age that I would imagine that it's just been smooth sailing from there.
When I was too old for Turkey Boy, that was a hard hit.
Rest in peace, Turkey Boy.
Yeah, R.I.P. Turkey Boy.
I mean, growing up with PCLO being like your frame for theater, that's like a high caliber. How did that kind of like set you up in terms of going on in the world of this industry?
Well, I took some classes as a kid. Did a couple of the summer seasons, and then I was in that cursed production of The Music Man with Jeff Goldblum as Harold Hill, by the way.
I don't know about this.
There's they released they were shooting a documentary while this production was happening, and we as kids did not realize at the time, but it was they were making almost a mockumentary. It's called Pittsburgh, and it's on YouTube. The full movie's on YouTube. It's just behind the scenes of Jeff Goldblum as Harold Hill in the PCLO production of Music Man.
Oh my God.
Would recommend. You can see me in it for a brief flash.
I love that.
Just realizing a camera was there.
And this was a real production that happened.
It was part of the summer season. Yeah.
Incredible.
Was wild.
How did they get Jeff Goldblum to do that? That's insane.
How did I think he wanted to do it because he's from Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Nice.
Yeah. Wild.
That is crazy.
So we're doing that, but then once I hit high school, I wasn't doing stuff with the CLO anymore. But I guess what it did is it made me realize that I loved performing. So it had put the bug in me. But then when I hit high school, I kind of pulled back a little bit.
Okay.
My personal circumstances were such that I wasn't encouraged to take dance classes and stuff. And my parents were always very supportive. And, my mom, when I was on those tours, would always come with me, like gave up so much of probably her personal peace and free time to do that with me. And they were driving us constantly, this and that. But I think once it started to become something that I maybe wanted to pursue as a career, things like shifted a little bit. And because when I was on those tours, for example, and he would talk to me on stage, Marvin Hamlish, I would always be like, and I'm going to be a doctor when I'm going to grow up, and it was cute.
Yeah.
Did I really believe that I wanted to be a doctor? No, I didn't know what that entailed.
Of course.
And so in high school, when it finally came about that maybe I want to try to like go to school for performing and pursue it as a career, it wasn't met with support in that way. So there was a lot, I think I pulled back on pursuing it as much as in hindsight I would have wanted to.
Yeah.
I wasn't applying to schools for performing or for musical theater. I went into the University of Pittsburgh undeclared.
Okay.
And I'm not saying like you don't have to go to school for performing. I just mean like I think maybe had the support and encouragement been different, I probably would have.
I did the same thing. I went in undeclared. Yeah. Did you end up studying theater?
I did end up switching.
Yep.
I did end up switching to theater. Yeah. I went in undeclared, and then I went into a psych major. I think I was maybe a communications major.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't want to do any of that. And then I switched to a theater major. There was no official musical theater program. Yeah. It was kind of being rebuilt at that time. Mm-hmm. I will say that our production of Sweeney Todd was instrumental in revitalizing the
Amazing.
Who did I play? Toby?
I think I heard that about that program.
Yeah, you probably heard.
Yeah.
We did. I'm like clipping your microphone so bad.
We're fine.
And yeah, but it was also tough because we were right in between Point Park and CMU.
Okay.
So we did Sweeney, and then the next semester CMU did Sweeney, and so we were proud of our Sweeney. But then you go to CMU and you see their production of Sweeney, and it's like, okay, well, this is really good as well. And I'm pretty sure he descended from the ceiling at one point, and we didn't quite have all of those full capabilities.
It doesn't need to be flashy. It's about the quality of the performance and the art.
Doesn't need to descend from the ceiling?
No, I don't think so.
It was cool. It was cool when he did. No, but it was just kind of became like a little joke,
of course,
of being in between these two very prestigious theater programs. But we did some good work.
Yeah.
You want to talk about our production of In the Heights? Sure. I was Benny.
Okay. Great.
I don't have the footage.
Oh, come on.
Let's keep it that way.
Oh, we could. You could re-record it. I'm sure we could do that. We could set that up.
It was very fun. I love doing In the Heights.
So, did you move to New York immediately after college?
After college, I stayed in Pittsburgh for a little bit. Did Christmas Carol again as Peter Cratchit.
Rub it in, please.
Full circle.
Yep.
And then did a soft move to New York and ran out of money, and at the same time was able to get on a contract in Lancaster, Pennsylvania,
great.
At the American Music Theater, which was like 6 or 7 months. Mm-hmm. And it helped me save up. It was kind of like a full-time contract, but I also got a part-time job on the side at the Panera next door.
Okay,
because I'd worked at Panera previously.
Phenomenal.
And I still have the uniform, and I use it for some character work occasionally.
That's awesome.
And keep your work uniforms.
Always.
Another piece of advice.
And if they say you can't, they're lying.
Yeah.
What, are they going to come track you down?
They're not.
No.
Yeah. And so after that, fall of 2015, I moved to New York. So yeah, I guess this is year 10 here.
Did you know it was like that was going to be the thing? Like, was that always the dream?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I never fully considered anywhere else. And I do believe that that's also from a lack of education about the possibilities of theater in different cities.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was just like, well, where else am I going to go? Well, there's a lot of places you can go before coming to New York or after. Mm-hmm. But I guess I always wanted to be here. And I'd only been like once growing up.
Yeah.
And something cool that our theater program did do my senior year of college was they brought a group of us here, and we were able to like go to Ripley and audition,
nice.
And experience an audition. And I think, and I don't know the details of this, but I think we were all given like fake callbacks. I think someone had an in with casting, and they were like, can you give these kids callbacks just so they can like see what that feels like? We might need to remove this part of the episode because I don't know if I'm bursting any bubbles here that I shouldn't
listen,
be. I was like,
they gotta know. By now they have to know. Wow, that's incredible.
It was great that they did that, especially for a department that was very active, but maybe not as fully established as it was working to be. So it was very cool that they got us to do that.
That's awesome.
We like stayed in, what's it across the river? What's that Jersey town? Hoboken. We stayed in Hoboken and then came into the city and did the auditions.
That's crazy. Was it an open call or was it an EPA?
I don't know. All I knew was
it even real?
Was it like maybe Nathan Fielder was behind it?
Oh my God.
I think it was an EPA that I just think some strings were pulled.
Understood.
And we got appointment times.
Understood.
I don't know how, I don't know why, but I do know that I wore a big, thick blue tie.
Okay.
And khakis and like a button-down shirt.
Mm-hmm.
The tie was so big and thick.
Unironically?
Unironically.
Okay.
Because I thought that was what you had to wear.
And you know what? A lot of people do. I think we all have. I think if you did not show up to your first audition in formal wear, you didn't do this right. You know, we had to be humbled at some point.
Yeah, I don't remember what I sang. Maybe a very poor man's version of Lost in the Wilderness.
Amazing.
And not fully realizing that was maybe a do not sing.
Well, you know what?
I sang it.
It was callback worthy, apparently.
Yeah, I got a callback, so...
Did your college like prep you for like how to do the audition circuit kind of thing? Like, were they prepping you for like what the places were, what the procedures were?
My senior year, we were the first of a class they were adding that I think they called theater business.
Okay.
And it was great that they did that. And they talked, we would have discussions about audition etiquette, and I think we had some reading assignments as well. It was, again, a new class because I think that during the time I was there, a lot of things were being figured out of how they wanted to grow our theater department. So it did feel very new. I also remember that we had a final project that was called the Regional Relocation Project, where we got put into groups and we had to pick a city that we either were thinking about moving to or just wanted to focus on.
Okay.
And we had to essentially fake our move there and do all the research on how we were going to move here and what we were going to do in our first, 6 months or so to get established and get grounded. And I wish I had a copy of that.
It's like New York, Upper West Side, Broadway in 2 months.
Yeah, it was like I remember some things. I remember that I was like, first step, get a job over the summer. You're gonna want to save up.
Hell yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, obviously, that's anywhere. And yeah, we would just find acting agencies and list them and list like who the contacts were and this and that. So it was helpful.
Yeah.
It was cool to have that. I can't say that I revisited that project when I was actually moving, but I would like to go back and see in 2014.
I would love to know what that looks
what
like.
I thought moving to New York looked like.
Literally.
And if I have accomplished any of what was in that report.
We didn't have a whole lot of career prep classes, but I took one with a guest professor one year. It was called Navigating New York Theater. And like the first 3 weeks, it met once a week. The first 3 weeks were like, this is what Manhattan looks like. Like, these are the neighborhoods. Go on Street Easy, find an apartment, that kind of stuff. And it was actually very useful in terms of that stuff. And then we just hit this point where it was like, okay, well, I think we've taught you all you need to know about New York. Now we're going to read plays that my off-Broadway theater has put on and talk about dramaturgical stuff. And we'll FaceTime with industry professionals who are just people that worked at the theater or people who wrote the random plays and stuff. And it very quickly became okay, no, we don't actually know anything about how to do this. And then they brought us here. And they were like, we're going to go to the public. However, we're going to leave you alone. You have to get there yourself. And
it's like a America's Next Top Model challenge.
No, literally. And then we got there and they were like, okay, this is the public. And they hadn't like arranged anything.
Figure it out.
They hadn't arranged anything with the theater or anything. So we just like went in the lobby and then left. And they're like, okay, next stop, we're going to go here. Good luck. And we were like, what is happening? And they were like, everyone, like, you got to find your own place to stay. Like, here's a list of like hostels and stuff. And I had friends in the city and whatnot that I could stay with, but I was like, you're telling these random college students to go stay in a New York City hostel?
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
You could have come to the University of Pittsburgh and gotten an automatic callback for a regional
Literally.
theater.
Yeah. Oh, God. You think we were going to auditions? Absolutely not. We did a salon at his theater, and he was like, yeah, we're going to invite a bunch of industry professionals. There were like 3 people that showed up, just random people. It was wild.
Do you still keep in touch with any of them?
I didn't even perform. I was like, I am anxious to do this, but also what am I trying to prove in this room, you know?
Yeah. Did you do like a showcase? Is that something that you're...
No. So
Okay.
we didn't have a musical theater program either. It was just a BA in theater general. You pick your concentration and kind of go from there. So once I was like in the thick of it, I was doing acting and costume design. Those were my two paths that I was doing. Yeah. And so I went to school in Western Massachusetts, which is like very liberal, progressive, awesome in that regard. But it was very much like, we're doing new works only, and we're going to kind of just explore humanity in theater. So we weren't getting the most formal acting education, which is fine, like to each their own, whatever. But like when it came to like entering the real world, like we didn't know what we were doing.
Gotcha.
I am one of very few people in my graduating class that is actively still pursuing performance. And I think I'm the only one in my graduating class that is pursuing performance in New York City. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
I mean, that's cool that you got to do like new and experimental stuff.
Yeah. It was interesting. And like interactive, immersive theater, devised theater, like that was like in our vocabulary from like day one. You know, they were like very into that. So that was interesting to kind of be a part of. But also I was like, wow, I think I just want to do musical theater, you know? I think that's what I want to do. So I did that with like the extracurricular groups on campus. And like that was kind of where I got my real training and experience, was doing that. That's where I did Lucky Steph, you know?
Nice.
So it was that kind of stuff that really got me as prepared as I could be, you know, in that environment to enter this world. So
that is interesting that it, you know, it took being exposed to all of the things that weren't just like straight up musical theater to realize like, that's cool, but that's not where my
100%
focuses lie.
And like I hadn't been vocally trained or anything. Like I entered actor first, and like I still identify as actor first, you know? So like the stuff that they were doing, I felt confident, you know? I was like, okay, I've done this. I feel like I'm good at it and can do it, but I am missing the whimsy and the joy that I get out of theater and musical theater specifically. So
yeah,
you know?
Would you consider yourself like a character actor?
Yeah,
okay,
100%.
Gotcha.
And you know, that probably came from voice teachers maybe in the past telling me that I didn't have a pretty voice, but boy, does that not matter, because there's character actors out there. And I kind of got put down that path, but also it is something that I do feel I excel at, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I will absolutely use that to get my foot in the door, and then I can say, hey, by the way, guess what else I can do? All this other stuff.
Yeah, and the longevity of a character actor, you know?
Exactly.
That's forever, baby.
100%.
You know?
Do you consider yourself a character actor?
I think probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I really enjoyed playing Vinny because it felt super character-y. I think in the last few years, kind of shifting my focus from musical theater to more stuff just in the comedy space, I feel more confident stepping back into musical theater in the character actor mentality, because I have more of a grip on my comedic strengths.
Gotcha.
And I wish that I maybe had realized that sooner or growing up, because I feel like there's not enough focus on fostering non-traditional, you know, leading man ingenue
100%.
roles. There are places, you know, programs who really help shape that. But I wish that maybe I had given more attention and focus on what my identity is as a performer, because I think I had a very narrow view of that, where it's like, oh, you do musical theater and you sing, you should be trying to be Curly in Oklahoma. Yeah. Where it's like, no, but I'm actually not a Curly. You know, I'm very one could argue very much so not a Curly. Not a Curly. I'm a Bach and not a Fierro.
Yeah. I mean, it's also tough because when you are in those like college programs, especially, like you exist in the microcosm of the student body there. You know, it's like someone's going to have to play a father, someone's going to have to play an elder, and a lot of the times it's the character actors that get pushed towards that, because it's like, oh, okay, so like you're not conventionally leading man material, that's totally fine, we need someone to do this, so we're going to stick you here. And then all of a sudden you're like, is this my type? Like, is this what's happening? But in reality, as soon as you exit that space, no, it is not your type. You know, it is something that will be given to people of the appropriate age and that kind of stuff. So it's tricky, especially in those times, to kind of embrace what that character actor situation is, you know?
Yeah. I still dream of, I want to play LeFou someday.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But I don't know who, like, am I too old to play LeFou?
No.
Is that, I don't even
Absolutely
know.
not.
I don't even know anymore.
No.
You played Lumiere, I also saw on your resume. Did I memorize your resume?
You might have. Yes, I did
What
play
else did you
Lumiere.
play?
Yes, I did that with the theater off campus, but I was still in college. That is another one where I'm like, I want to do that until the day I die. You know, if that is the one role that I will play for the rest of my life, totally fine with that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and like off campus, my senior year, I did a production of Spelling Bee, and it was so much fun.
Oh my God,
and that
amazing.
was another one where I was like, Chip it feels kind of I mean, every role in that is kind of character role, and I was like, this is so much fun. And it was such a fun production, directed by Steven Santa. Shout out Steven Santa. He's a good friend of mine.
Nice.
Saw him last night. Told him I was coming on the podcast and would shout out our production of Spelling Bee from 2014.
Love that. No, but it's like those moments too where it's like, especially with the off-campus stuff, I was like acting with adults. Like it was spaces in which there were people of all ages, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, no, like I'm being respected as an equal here. You know, it's not like I'm a kid or anything. So it's also another one of those really cool reckoning moments where it's like, oh, okay, no, like I do fit in this world, and like, I don't know, I don't have to answer to authority really in the traditional ways that I do in a college theater department or whatever, or administration or all that kind of stuff. So those opportunities are also, I think, really important and just fun. You know, the stakes are not there. It's great. Did you, when you were kind of emerging into this world, were you kind of put in any kind of type by casting or teachers or mentors?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I don't think I knew myself, and I wasn't doing the work to get to know myself, because I mean, well, we can, you know, it's kind of walks hand in hand with my coming out journey a little bit as well. This is it's lame. It's lame to talk about. But it's like I was very repressed until middle of college, and I even to this day carry a lot of that with me, where for a long time I just wouldn't let myself figure out who I was, even for a long time after coming out, because I just was so afraid of everything.
Totally.
And I think that did affect the way I would think about what I wanted to do on stage or in any kind of career capacity, because there is a separation, yes, but I think you feel a little more confident, or at least I feel a little more confident now taking big swings on stage when I have more of a foundation internally and emotionally, you know, more of like a comfortability with who I am. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but I think that's true for me.
I think that's extremely valid.
Is that valid?
No, you are so valid for that, actually.
Am I valid for that?
I hope you feel validated in this moment.
Yeah, well, thank you. I do. In 2020, I was cast as a swing in a production of Puffs at the PCLO Cabaret, and I was really excited, and then it shut down in the pandemic, and they always had the intention of bringing it back, and in 2022 we finally did it. And I just remember like how afraid I was in 2020, because even in 2020 I feel like the amount that I grew and got to know myself and my comedic sensibilities and more of an identity, the difference between 2020 and my mentality going into the swings tracks and 2022, I felt so much more confident in 2022 when we finally did do it. Yeah. Because even in just those 2 short years, just felt like I got to know myself a lot better.
Yeah, so 100%.
I don't know if I could be a swing again for a long time. It was really hard.
That's one of those things.
Some people love it, and
Yeah.
I love the people who love it. And I had a great time doing it, and it felt very fulfilling. But it was stressful at a base level.
I think the minds that are actively able to do it are just very different to my own. You know, like I'll be the first to say I don't have a whole lot of brain space. You know, I don't. You know, I can focus on what I need to focus on, but being able to compartmentalize as many things as the swings are doing at this point in time, I'm like, listen,
so much respect.
Y'all deserve it. Y'all deserve the paychecks. Like, I'm just not built like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I am either. Like, I did the job. I only went on for one of the roles.
Yep.
And I did have fun going on for it.
Heard.
But I was having a terrible day until it happened because of how nervous I was.
Okay.
And I was like, I can't do this all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do this all the time. So maybe it was like what you were saying earlier. You have to do the thing that, yes, is cool and fun, but you're like, maybe this isn't where I am going to be all the time.
Yeah.
I made some amazing friends, and it was such a gratifying experience. I had the best time. I just don't know if the swing life is my normal. Is my norm.
Too real, you know. I mean, shout out to all the people taking whatever jobs they can right now. But
absolutely,
there's some
shout out.
You know what? Once again, would I take it? Maybe, but would I would. I may not be the best fit for that kind of thing. You know?
I think mentally, I'm not equipped. I'm not as equipped to do it regularly. Shout out swings and understudies.
Literally.
I'm like waiting for them to respond.
Yeah, literally running this industry.
Running this industry. We love you. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it was.
You're better than us.
Yeah, you're better.
You are better than us.
Better, okay.
Literally. If you had to put into words nowadays who you are as a performer, what you have to offer, and wrap it in a neat little bow, what would you say?
I guess I would say I'm a person who can't dance very well, and who likes to do comedic roles, but who's also doing a little more just straight comedy and writing than musical theater nowadays.
Yeah.
That was not elegant nor a neat bow.
Listen, I put you on the spot right there.
But it
was concise enough.
I'm still pursuing musical theater and working in those spaces, but my shift the last few years has been a little different. I've been more in the comedy spaces and venues and circles of people, and it has felt like getting to know whole other groups of people and kind of starting from scratch in some ways. And I think I feel really fulfilled with like writing characters and writing sketch and being on those kinds of sets and lineups. I feel more in control of a comedic identity in that way.
Heard.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what the next maybe stage looks like in that way. I'm just trying to work.
And you know what? That's good enough. That is good enough. How did you enter the comedy space?
During the pandemic, when I started just putting some stuff online and because there was really nothing else to do, I started to feel a little more in control. And I felt like I was finding my comedic identity a little more, not to sound repetitive, but then when we came back to New York and things were opening up and I was getting asked to be parts of like comedy shows and lineups and like, hey, do you want to do a character set at this show? Or do you want to do, your Lin-Manuel Miranda impression at this cabaret? And I was like, okay, I like this. It feels something unique to my voice that I can bring to a space or an event or a show.
Totally.
And I felt energized by that.
Yeah.
So I just have kept doing that and exploring that and seeing what that has looked like.
Totally.
So I don't know.
Do you find that it brings you more joy than musical theater?
I think it's just a different kind of joy.
Yeah.
Auditioning is hard because you can walk in and be so prepared and sound amazing and be locked in and, feel like you gave the best that you can do, but you can still walk out and just for some reason feel like shit.
Yeah.
And not to say that that's not true for, comedy shows or doing that, but I don't know, maybe it's just a different kind of fulfillment.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what that looks like moving forward. I'm still very much, my goals in musical theater are still alive and well.
Totally.
But yeah, it's just kind of navigating a new way of expression that I've tried to develop.
I mean, quite frankly, it seems as though you are very successful in what you're doing, especially with that. I would perceive you as to be still in the musical theater world, and that kind of stuff.
I'm being perceived.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Do you want a pair of sunglasses?
Okay, well, that's good to know.
No, 100%. And, it's one of those things where, like, it's also funny because I'm like, comedy and that kind of stuff almost seems more vulnerable. But I don't know. It seems like a space that you fit very well. And
thanks.
It probably is going to open up even more doors for you.
I hope so. I would love some doors to open up. Any and all doors, if you're listening. Could you open?
Yeah. Wait for them to respond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what feels most vulnerable in the comedy space is like I'm doing a little bit of stand-up and I want to do more, but then I keep like chickening out because I really enjoy writing it, but then I think about performing it and I get really stressed out. I've done it a handful of times. I need to say this on a live public podcast.
Absolutely.
That I need to do more of it and stop being so scared.
I'm going to hold you accountable.
Because I keep saying to my partner, like, this month I'm really going to try to hit up a bunch of these open mics. And then he's like, okay, cool. I support you. And he just fully knowing that I'm just not going to because I get in my own way.
Of course.
It is vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah.
Because talking about, I like doing stand-up as various characters. I do a lot as Lin-Manuel, kind of stand-up based stuff in addition to rap parodies of him. But when it's just me up there, like about my life, I get really, again, scared.
I mean, you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
It's vulnerable. It is.
The religious trauma of it all. I want to try to make things funny, but it still feels somewhat vulnerable and scary to do so.
Of course.
There's a lot to mine there.
What was your religion of trauma?
Catholic.
That's how it goes.
Too?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So it's just I have a lot of material about it, and I've had fun the few times that I've done it. And I just need to get off my butt and keep motivating myself to get out there.
Did you take comedy classes or are you self-taught?
No, I've never taken classes, but I would definitely benefit from them for sure.
I mean, that's subjective, but...
Well, I don't know.
Heard.
I'll watch some YouTube videos.
Yeah. And what about writing music? Because you do that a lot as well.
Yeah, I love writing music.
How did that come into the ballpark?
My best friend, Emily Summers, shout out Emily Summers, was Nashville-based, was super inspirational to me. And then I originally started writing music because I wanted to just kind of impress her. But then I love to do it. And I've co-written for some people. And I like to, again, the last few years, I've started writing more just comedy music for myself to release. But I did go through my pop star era where I was trying to be a pop star. But then I realized that I wasn't performing any of the music that I'd written.
Understood.
And it was like, well, why are you making pop music and then you're not performing it? So I stopped doing that and really just wanted to write for other people. But that's, I've written for a few, but then making comedy music, I think is what I really enjoy doing the most. I don't know. I think every gay man who can carry a tune goes through their pop star phase. And it is a phase.
It's a
phase. I'm just kidding.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
The absolute authority, Rocky
You're
says
going to grow out of it. No, I just realized that it was a mismatch.
Yeah.
The love of writing it was there, but the desire to be the front man of what I was writing.
That's a lot of work. Pop stardom that's a lot to put on anyone's back,
Yeah.
I would love to be a star, but that kind of star is that's a lifestyle that I wouldn't thrive in.
I think same. Like the idea of being perceived in that way and having a crowd watch me sing songs about like love and I don't know. Maybe this is why I haven't done a cabaret either. Maybe
Okay.
I'm not a performer.
No.
I'm just taking my headphones off and leaving. No, again, this is the insecurity in myself that I work against, I don't want eyes on me sometimes.
I mean, first of all, saying you're not a performer is fucking crazy. But the imposter syndrome is real. It's always gonna be real. But, like, you're already doing it. Like, you're already doing the thing. It may not be pop stardom, but, like, you are already succeeding in what you are actively doing, Yeah. Give yourself the credit.
A little pat on the back.
Do it right now.
Well, I remember one of the songs in particular I that was on this EP that I made. I was like, I felt so cool in the studio making it and singing it. But then the moment where I thought about a situation where I was singing that live, I just wanted to curl up in a ball.
Heard.
Because there was some kind of separation that I could put behind just making it. And then, so I don't know. I'm not a pop star.
Then that's
and
okay.
Neither are you, listener.
Whoa. Lizzie McAlpine puts down cancels tour. Dear God.
Oh, she was so brilliant in Floyd. Did you see her?
I did see her. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was happy that she got to do that because I feel like last year she like really shocked the world. I don't know why everyone's so shocked whenever someone that is a pop star is all of a sudden like, also, I like theater and I always have. People are like, oh my God.
Why are we surprised? Yeah.
It's like, I guarantee you 70% of them out there all started in a school musical of some sort. You know? Yeah. I don't know why we're always so surprised about that. But
the choices she was making with that score were gorgeous.
That was one that I was like, I know it wasn't written for her because it was written before she joined, but like that was exactly the person that we needed doing that, Yeah, I can't say the show was the most profound to me.
It was the first time I'd seen a production of it.
Me too, and maybe I'm not in the mental health state to watch a kind of show like that. Who's to say? But overall, talent spectacular.
I thought it was a gorgeous show.
Have you seen Mincemeat?
Not yet.
You got to see that.
I mean, yes, I have. No, I haven't.
Listen,
I really want to.
Broadway is expensive. Nobody should be expected to have to keep up with all this stuff.
Why can't we just get invited to everything?
I'm very much of this. My standard these days, I'm like lottery, rush, comp, or I can't see it. I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do great at seeing everything this season, so I'm going to try to be better for next season.
This is the first year I have actually made an effort to do it, and it was all done at the last minute. Like, don't get me wrong, like I saw everything that I saw like within the 3 weeks of the Tonys, but like
that's great.
This was the first time I actually tried to do it and like stay on some form of schedule and see however many shows a week, but I did it all through rushing and all that kind of stuff. But I think if you got to see anything, you particularly, based on everything you've said today, you have to see Mincemeat.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you like British comedy?
Yeah. I mean,
what's your opinion on the Brits?
My opinion on the Brits are please invite me to do your comedy shows.
Okay.
And because they haven't yet, I have a pretty negative opinion of the Brits.
Heard.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Massachusetts. We threw all that tea, so like, I can't be one to talk, but yeah.
I would love to see that, and I'm thinking to myself, you think there's a role for me in there?
I would say there is very accurately 2 roles for you in there.
Okay, great.
Because there were 2 male presenting actors in that show, and so I would say I think you could probably do either or.
Your
choice, really.
Yeah.
You should call them.
Yeah. Them. I will call them.
Just call Broadway.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that like that is actually something that our relatives think that we can just do?
And I would love to live in that world where that just seems so possible to them.
Yeah, I think some people can.
Yeah.
I do think that there is a secret number that is just Broadway.
100%.
I think we don't have access to it.
And like they say that, and then I get an email that they were locked out of their email account, because I'm the recovery
is this
password.
You?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, maybe not as valid as I thought it was going to be. And you know what? There is probably a world in which if you had the right phone numbers, it would work.
Yeah. But you can also just cold DM.
You can also cold DM.
Which I have done for... It's never worked on a casting director, I don't think. But I will send a DM. to a casting director.
I have sent emails and stuff for this show particularly. I would like to get a casting director on the show. And then if they fall in love with me and love my personality, like, it is what it is. I can't prevent that. I'm just going to sit here and be myself.
Well, and I think they would. Yeah,
it's just a matter of finding ones that I vibe with enough where I'm like, I feel like your ideals would line up with the show. Because my other survival job is I work as an equity monitor.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I do meet a lot of them. And, I can't say all of the vibes are always there for me, but I have particular taste.
And you have some phone numbers then?
I don't. Honestly, no. I don't.
Where are the phone
numbers?
I'll
take a picture of the contact sheet, but half of them just write down a physical address because they don't want the unsolicited messages.
I was so, like, when I got my first summer stock, I was so, here's something.
Yes.
Here's something that we can encourage your listeners to not do. I moved here and I got a steady survival job.
Okay.
Front desk job, the financial district.
Full time?
Worked for a chiropractor. It was Monday to Friday. I think it was part-time hours, but felt like a full-time commitment, at least 100%. At that time. I booked a 3-week summer stock, and my boss was amazing. He bought me a keyboard. He was so supportive. He would let me go on auditions. I told him I booked a show. He said, okay, go have fun. Come, and when you get back, your job is right here waiting for you. And you know what I said? I'm not coming back.
Oh, my God.
Because to me,
oh, no.
Booking the summer stock job was the beginning of the rest of
your
my
life.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I just thought that off to the races.
Yeah.
And it was just up from there. And I came back and immediately regretted it. Because you don't make money at summer stock. You get paid, but what you're paying, sometimes you're just in the red.
Yeah.
And
very frequently.
And I was in the red.
Heard.
And I came back, and this was Lucky Stiff. And I came back and I was just like, I was lost. I mean, I found a temp agency eventually, but it was a hard couple of weeks because I was like, wait a second, I don't have another job lined up.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that going in, but I chose to ignore it.
It's a tale as old as time. It really is, because also these survival jobs that we are doing frequently suck.
Yeah.
So if someone is presenting you with a way out of it on a silver platter, most people are going to take it, And
I had too much pride because I had made such a hoo-hoo about I'm not coming back, to then say to him, because he would have had me back in a second, but I didn't want to go back and say, actually, can I continue working here? I had too much pride to do that.
Understood.
And so it was like probably the worst early decision of living in New York.
He said, damn, you must be doing something really seriously prestigious. What's it called?
And I said, have you heard of Lucky Stiff?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Have you heard of Weekend at Bernie's?
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, just not licensed.
It was a bad choice. And these are also the things, too, that I wish that I would have really prepared for before moving there. It's like, don't quit a job until you have another one lined up, which for the most part, I think that could be a lesson for everyone to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Everyone's circumstances are different.
100%.
If your job is toxic, get out of there.
Yeah.
But that was one where I should have stayed.
You should call him.
I got adjusted for free.
You should call him.
Yeah. He texts me on occasion.
Just send him the link to this episode. And I'll give you the timestamp.
Well, I have a full remote time job now.
Wow.
It kind of started out part-time, and then I got more and more like hours, and I needed them, and I do need them because I also need to like fund stuff too.
100%.
So I'm like holding on to that. It doesn't really interfere too much with my creative pursuits at this point. So just trying to do as much as I can while I'm on the clock.
That's awesome.
And just kind of put my head down and do it until I, knock on wood, hopefully someday don't need it anymore. But it's doing what it needs to do right now.
We got to pay those bills in the city. It's too much, so.
Yeah. And it's just a clickety-clacker, so, just... My little mindless.
Yes. I've never heard of that before, the clickety-clacker.
Maybe I made it up.
Did you coin it?
Can that be the title of the episode?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it when that happens so organically.
You find when I force the title of the episode on you. Yeah.
It's going to be in parentheses. It's just a clickety-clack. Rocky made me title the episode like this.
Yeah.
With Rocky Paterra. Do you have any other wisdom that you would like to share with the people, or anything for the young Rockies out there that you would like to say?
I struggle with providing wisdom because I really do think that everybody's circumstances are different.
I mean, that's true.
I think like the top piece of advice for someone might be the bottom tier advice for someone else. I think for me, if I were to, RuPaul style, say something to my younger self on the screen behind me.
I forgot to take out the picture. Here's your childhood picture.
There's me as the king and the king and I.
Yep. With your sister. You guys are very close.
Where did you find that pic? Yeah, I would say, I guess I just wish that I would have really let myself know myself. So corny.
But it's so real.
But I think it's just really helped.
Yeah.
In taking chances and in performing, because for so long I just felt like I was operating off of foundation of nothing.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to take from everything I was seeing with no baseline identity. When my first year in New York, someone said to me, they were trying to be helpful.
Oh God.
But they said, Rocky, like, you kind of change your personality based on everybody you're around.
Okay.
And that was hard to hear.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, it was very true. And it's like I still at times can feel myself working against that. I think, maybe everyone can to an extent, but it was like, because I went so long just feeling like this like empty shell of a person. I didn't know who I was. And so, there's a personality I like. Let me wear that for a little bit. Maybe it's helped in the comedy spaces of like character development.
Maybe.
But it was like, that was a hard thing to hear.
Yeah.
But I think it was a necessary thing to hear as well. So I don't know. I guess my unique advice would be yourself.
Be yourself.
Find yourself and be yourself.
Boom. There you go, folks. But actually do it. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. It's always going to be tough. But like, we are in the world, especially within the industry, where authenticity is everything. It is everything. And if you can't find that authenticity, then I think it's time to take a step back and figure that out before you continue to do it, because it's not gonna open the doors for you that you need to be opening,
And I think it shows in your performance. I think one of the main things that can be sniffed out is a lack of authenticity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to dress that up
Totally.
with bells and whistles, but I think the performances that really land are, the ones where you just feel like that person has complete control of what they are putting out.
Totally.
Where even if they drop a line or miss a note or miss a step, they have enough of a confidence in themselves and what they do bring, where we just, without even thinking, forgive it because we trust them.
100%. I mean, we are all actors at the end of the day. However, there is always some form of backbone underneath that is visible, And if we see you doing whatever and we can't see what that is, then it's nothing. It's nothing. It's unentertaining. It's unoriginal. And that felt so much more savage than when I was thinking of it in my head, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
You just suck.
Yeah. If you don't know who you are, you suck.
This is so bad. Why are you even listening to this?
Yeah, why don't you go like watch a YouTube video or something and find out who you are?
Roasted.
Yeah.
Shit. Don't you feel so foolish?
Yeah, go get a hobby. Maybe you'll
job.
Get a hobby, get a job, and get a grip.
Get a grip. Wow, that is profound. LOL, JK, gotcha. But also find yourself. I don't know. Folks, get out there, start doing the thing. We are rooting for you. We are your biggest supporters. And you can be our biggest supporters by finding us on Patreon. Wow, that is patreon.com/BA to Broadway. Your general disclaimer: We are not gatekeeping any vital information on there. That is just for silly short stories and anecdotes with the fools that I get to join me on the show. So if you just can't get enough, get on over there and get enough. As always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA to Broadway. Rocky, where can folks find you if you want to be found?
You can find me on Instagram at Rocky Paterra. You can find me on TikTok at Rocky's Road. You can't find my website because I unfortunately let it die earlier this year.
Oh my God.
I unalived it with the intention of making a new one, but I haven't yet.
Okay.
So you can't find me at www.rockymediopaterra.com, but maybe someday later this year you will be able to.
Sounds like that URL is up for grabs, folks, if anyone wants it.
I thought we were going to talk about the website today. I wanted to bring it up, so that was my way of.
I did look to see if you had a website when I was. No,
I
had to.
Didn't renew
the deep
it
digging
because I hadn't updated it in so long, and I went back on it earlier this year, and I was disgusted by the sight of it, and I let it die. And I faked people out, and I took everything off, and I said, new site coming soon, knowing that it was about to die.
Oh, my God.
It was like painting like open eyes on a dead body. Like,
wow.
And then now it just doesn't exist anymore.
We should work on that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Rocky, thank you so much for being here. You are welcome back here literally anytime. This was a delight. And until that next time, folks. Bye. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.